American chip was originally invented by a group of scientists in America who had a problem case, a woman who had a broken spine. And they wanted to build something that would help her to operate her spine again, and so they built this chip. And they managed to get her walking again, but she still had no feeling in her back. Now, the man who was in charge of this team, his name was Dr. Carl Sanders. Write that down, please. Dr. Carl Sanders, I have great news for you tonight. Dr. Carl Sanders has now become a born-again Christian, and he is now preaching against the thing which he invented. Because he has read the scriptures. You can get his tape from America, and we'll do our best to put you in touch with those tapes. You need to hear what he is saying. He is a very brilliant man. He's on the board of directors of many big companies, and when this man speaks, you are listening to the top man. So don't think I'm making all this up tonight. He tells us very clearly that when he discovered in the Word of God all these things, he began to investigate it, and already he had been to the top people in Washington discussing how they were going to put the chip into human beings, because this is the only way to stop the credit card fraud. They want to put it, he said, into the body. He said they discussed this thing over and over, and they decided that the best thing to do was to find a battery that would power the thing, so it wouldn't be a passive transponder any longer. It would be an active transponder which would send out a continuous message towards space, and these messages would be picked up by satellites, and they could track anybody at any time, at any place on Earth. Now, this is what he's saying. Now, I want you to take notes now, if you would, please. This is what he said. When he read in the Bible the word mark in verse 16, some people say, how do we know that that's not the mark that Hitler gave the Jews? Answer, when the Jews received their mark from Hitler's team, they were not buying and selling, you will agree? They were going to the gas ovens. This is to do with buying and selling. It says that clearly. The word mark, he examined the Strong's Concordance and tells us the following. The word mark comes from a Greek word. The word is charagma. C-H-A-R-A-G-M-A, charagma. And the word charagma means to scratch or cut into. So he said we are not dealing with a laser beam here. We're dealing with something cut into the skin itself. And then he said the word charagma has another word connected with it in Strong's Concordance, which is charax. C-H-A-R-A-X, charax. And that word means to sharpen to a point. He said that suggested very clearly to me what we had been doing, using a syringe, a hypodermic syringe, to put the mark into people's bodies. Then he said they looked up the word in Greek for 666. Did you know the Greek word for 666 comes out as follows? It is ch-ch. The next part of the word is z, which is xi. And the next part of the word is stigma. Ch-z stigma is the word in Greek for 666. And when he looked up the meaning of that, this is what it means: to prick or to mark in recognition of ownership. Now, when was this written? In 96 AD. Exactly what this man and his team invented. And therefore you understand this is not some crazy preaching point that I am carrying around the world. It is fully vindicated by the men who invented the chip. Now he said, how are we going to power this thing? They looked at working on many different types of batteries that could possibly power this and make it an active transponder, and they came up with a substance called lithium. Write this down, please, lithium. And anybody who's into science tonight knows the power of lithium. It's very, very dangerous stuff to fiddle around with. And he said to the friend of his who was a chemist, what happens if we put a lithium battery in this thing, and how are we going to charge it up? He said, we will charge it by the changes of temperature on the skin. Well, they worked hard as a team to try and find out the two best places where the skin temperature changes take place, and guess the two places they found? The forehead and the back of the hand, exactly as the Word of God said. And therefore, when I began to read my newspaper, I discovered that this was in the newspaper as well, vindicating that we were on the right track. Have a look at this one. Here it is, taken from the Sunday Times in New Zealand. A battery the size of a red blood cell has been created. There it is. And it is called the smallest revolution. I don't know if anybody here has ever seen a red blood cell, but I have. I've got a friend with a microscope with thousands of parts in it, and it's a very special microscope. I won't tell you where he is, but he's got it. And my wife and I have seen our own red blood cells and our own white ones. Very, very clear indeed. And I was amazed when I thought they built a battery the size of a red blood cell that is powered by, and that's the battery is powered by lithium. So So then he said, Dr. Sanders said to his friend the chemist, what happens if the lithium battery bursts inside the person's body? And the chemist, who was not a Christian, said this: he would burst out in a terrible sore on the flesh. Not sores, S-O-R-E-S, but sore. We will now read Revelation chapter 16 and verse 2. Read with me, please. Here is the word of God. Revelation 16 and verse 2. Read with me, King James readers. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore, singular, upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. There it is there. And so tonight we've had it clearly shown in this meeting that you are living in the age of the mark of the beast. Now the question is, will this get rid of the problems? Of course it does. Can't you see that? If you get the mark in your head, for example, you've got rid of all these problems here. It is very hard to break your head. Number two, very difficult to have your head stolen. You can see that. If somebody stole your head and went shopping with it, as soon as they put it on the counter, the shopkeeper would know. He'd say, that is not yours. Number three, very difficult to lose your head. Very difficult to wipe the mark from your head. You say, why is that? Because they tell us, according to the Veterinary Surgeons magazine, it would take a brilliant doctor to even find the thing. Because the chip they've invented for human beings is 1/6 the size of a grain of rice. Write that down, please. 1/6 the size of a grain of rice. Tell your friends at work they should have been here. But even if they had been, they wouldn't have got in. They'll have to watch the videos. Next one. Bend. It's very hard to bend your head. Next one. You can't steal the carbon copy for your head because there isn't one. And number 7, even in Hong Kong, they cannot duplicate your head. That gets rid of all the problems, you see. Now, the question comes tonight, what happens if I take the mark? What will happen to me? That's easy. You will go to hell forever. When I was a school teacher, they said they wanted me to teach evolution. I said, that's easy. This is how you teach evolution. You divide the board in half with a wiggly line, always with a wiggly line, because no teacher I've met can draw a straight one. You put God on one side, and on the other side you put nothing. That's your choice, children. Where did we come from? Either God made us or we came out of nothing. And if you believe that this world of design came about through nothing, then I can equally believe that a copy of Webster's dictionary came about through an explosion in a printing shop. Everything is carefully designed, you'll agree? And you want to go and see a baby being born, go to the farm and watch a calf being born, or a lamb. That's enough. You say, is this world government plan working very fast? Oh, yes. Have a look at this. We're preaching in South Africa. We normally go up there every year. This is taken from one of their biggest newspapers. Look, it's called the Sunday Star. Take the advantage. There's a man opening his shirt like Superman. Look at it. Power under your skin. There's a man with silicon chips built into his chest here, and that's from the biggest newspaper in Johannesburg. This is not a Christian newspaper. Power under your skin, it says. New concept implants chip in your body for easy access to a world of benefits. This is Johannesburg, South Africa. I now put the next one on. The next page reads like this. Chips that get under your skin. Why carry cards when an implant will do the trick? And when I get up to South Africa, they put me on the radio up there and they interview me. In fact, when they were giving out the new marks in South Africa for voting, they called me from Johannesburg to New Zealand to find my opinion. Incredible, because they know that there are people around the world who read the Bible and who know the end result of all this.